Okay, so this is a little presentation on the strategy for victory in America, especially in the year 2019 leading up to 2020. So it's important to remember that there's certain things that leaders of nations and empires do that change the course of history, such as Constantine in 313 AD, when he co-signed the Edict of Milan, and in so doing, allowing Christianity to be recognized and tolerated within the Roman Empire. Huge effect. And as a result, persecution waned, and it was a religion that was allowed to flourish. There's many instances like this throughout human history, and they're actually providential turning points of human history. Also like this is the crowning of King Charlemagne in 800 AD. This happened around Christmas time, 800, and he was crowned by the Pope and became the first Holy Roman Empire. There's something very meaningful in this moment as you see a Pope crowning a king, and it shows the collaboration between the church and the political. So here we are today. This is where we are now entering into the 7th year of Charnel-Guk, and we are proclaiming that this is the time in which we must bring about national restoration. And so Mother has divided America into 5 sub-regions to better achieve this. Now, dividing it into 5 doesn't mean diluting it or really dividing it. It's much more like multiplying into 5, multiplying our chances into 5, giving each of these 5 sub-regions equal opportunity to be able to restore as a nation intact and bring about the conditions necessary for heaven to recognize and claim the victory, national restoration. In fact, even more than just the 5 sub-regions, true parents for a long time have recognized each state in America to be considered as its own nation. So we want to restore the whole nation, but we understand that this is a process. So right now there's 5 major teams, 5 sub-regions working both together as well as independently to do their best to bring about national restoration. But even we may see it occur at the state level, state by state. So that's what we've got our eye on. So what is Vision 2020? So True Parents, amazing. We're live at the time of True Parents, and the whole purpose, the whole longing of providential history is that the Messiah can be received on the national level. And so this is what is supposed to happen. And especially America, as the nation that was designed and created, prepared by God for this purpose, has a special providence in this area. And so far, we haven't seen it. So you can see this is True Father's Songma, and this was an incredible event. Certainly, if you look at it, it was majestic, it was beautiful, it was big, it was well attended, people from all over the world. And it looks like you have military type personnel carrying Father's casket, and you have all of this beautiful environment honoring True Father. Okay, so now you're looking at a different kind of funeral. This is a picture of Bush Sr.'s funeral just recently. And as you can see, it's being attended by the head of state, by the President and First Lady of the United States. Not only you see the casket being carried by highest ranking military personnel, and you see the president and other former heads of state and the highest ranking officials of the nation. So they're showing up for an hour or two to participate in this funeral. But what it means is that they recognize the body in that casket as a national level figure. It's the former president of the United States, and he's passed, and it's fair to honor him in this way. However, if you compare the president with the Messiah, there's a big difference. So this is an example of, the level of attendance that would be fitting at least like this for the Messiah. When you look at the picture of Father Sungwa, however, although it looks like you've got people in military type garb, these are actually probably UPA cadets. You have lots of beautiful people, well dressed and well attended, but there's no head of state or highest ranking personnel such as you see even in the funeral of a former president of the United States. But no head of state from any country in the world actually attended the event. So when you look at Mother in this image, you have to think, why is she crying? Here she is, she's sending her husband off to the spirit world. She's now responsible for the worldwide movement. There's a lot going on. It's all on her shoulders, challenges within the family. It could be any one of these reasons why she's trying to dampen her tears here. But in reality, I strongly believe the real reason that Mother's crying here is not because of any of those things, but rather because she was unable, or we were unable, to bring about the conditions necessary that Father could be recognized, not in his lifetime, but at least in his passing, in his death, at his Songwa ceremony, even still could not be recognized at the national level. There was no head of state that could recognize true Father's level of importance. That's a big deal. And so because of that, and as a result of the prolonged providence, Mother now had to take on the burden of this responsibility entirely on her own. And that's why she stated that she wants to bring about, and she will bring about, national restoration by 2020, no matter what. So why 2020? There are still some people that, wonder, maybe it's just because it sounds slick, 2020. But in fact, it's very simple, right? This is 100 years since True Father's birth. So in recognition of that 100-year anniversary of Father's birth, at least by then, we should be able to recognize true parents, to recognize true Father at the national level. This has been the longing of heaven. This has been the longing and purpose of our movement, and longing in Mother's heart from both before Father passed the spirit world and of course after, and since she's been at the helm guiding us. So this has been what's going on. Now, what is Vision 2020 strategy? Since Father's passing, since Father's Sungwa, there's been lots of events, right? You see Foundation Day, you see the Sungwa ceremony, you see the blessing, True Parents' birthday, the Sunhack Peace Prize, and various summits and so forth. But it's important to know that all of these things have been like a dress rehearsal for 2020. Now, in February 2020, Mother is going to conduct an amazing series of events that are the culmination of the providence as designed by heaven and as offered by True Parents and our worldwide movement. And all of those events that we've been leading up to, all of those plays, the performances, all these big and grandiose events that you may have been watching and enjoying and maybe even critiquing, the truth is each of them has simply been a dress rehearsal for what's coming in 2020. So we're just recently in Korea, and Dr. Yoon, True Mother's secretary, was talking about this and talking about how Mother could not sleep. And you've heard me talk about this before. So this time we heard that Mother literally couldn't, there was nights, several nights in a row where she didn't sleep at all. In fact, we heard one account of Mother having to change her clothes 5 times in the night because of, just the perspiration of her earnest dedication and prayer and struggling through the night with this tension and this burden. As all of the leaders are gathering and having their meetings, Mother is desperate. And, we know that because Mother is really watching the clock, she's not talking about 2020 just because it sounds like a catchy slogan. She absolutely has determined to not only bring about one nation, but at least 7 nations by the end of this year to stand, having fulfilled the conditions required by heaven, to stand as nations restored, nations that recognize true parents at the national level. So what is the USA strategy for this year? Guess what? It's the same as True Mother's strategy. True Mother's been laying the course. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. In fact, Mother has asked us specifically not to lead with our ideas and try to do it our own way, but instead absolutely unite with her 100%, and we will bring victory that way. So Mother laid out the strategy for Vision 2020 like this, and several of you have seen this. And I just want to go through this again to make sure we're all on the same page and also unpack it a little bit, right? So you have witnessing environment, and youth. And this is all centering on true parents, or centering on the word. But I want to clarify what each of these 4 areas really mean. So first of all, true parents is, this is about attendance. This is at the top and the core of everything. Everything is rooted in our attendance with true parents, recognizing them, loving them, bringing joy to God and true parents with the heart of Hyojeon. And then in the witnessing category, this symbolizes really ultimately God's lineage, doesn't it? This is where, through which God is multiplying his lineage. You could say happy, healthy, happy families multiplying themselves. The core of this is heavenly tribal messiahship. And on the other side, you have the witnessing environment, which really accounts for everything else. These are the relationships with very important people, our partnerships with other organizations, John the Baptist figures, everything within the environment. And our work in this area supports our work in the witnessing area. And Mother has been consistently saying this, okay? So then in the 4th circle, you've got youth. And what we're really talking about here is young leaders, raising young leaders and youth engagement. This is essentially HR, human resource, the leaders of the future, and so on. All right, so that's how all of these 4 things relate with each other. But where do our organizations fit in relationship to these strategic areas? So in the area of witnessing, the area of God's lineage, the area of heavenly tribal messiahship, you have Family Federation for World Peace taking a leading role. And there's some variations in how things run from nation to nation because of laws or restrictions on religious groups and so on. However, certainly in America, we're able to operate pretty much according to True Mother's direction in all of this. So Family Federation for World Peace, you could say, is responsible for everything. But strategically and specifically, this area here, the area of witnessing, the area of furthering the blessing and true parents teaching. The area of the witnessing environment, you can say, is guided more by the leadership and activity of all of our providential organizations. So let's go a little bit deeper. Okay, so again, in the area of witnessing, in the area of heavenly tribal messiahship, you kind of have, if you go under the hood, let's say, you've got heavenly tribal messiahship is really the core driving purpose of this area, supported by the organization, supported by the ministry, supported by the leadership and all the things that go in to fulfilling the core purpose of Family Federation and heavenly tribal messiahship. If we look on the other side of the screen with the witnessing environment, there's also different parts at play here. And I think uniquely to some degree in America, I think our relationship with Christianity, as partnered through ACLC, the American Clergy Leadership Conference, this really is playing a central role, a more internal role in the work that we're doing in the witnessing environment. And the providential organizations are also, kind of supporting and expanding this realm, expanding our influence in the witnessing environment. So this is really how I think right now in America, you can kind of see our major organizations and focuses stacking up. And, you can see how the unity between these things is essential. And this is all in line with what Mother's telling us to do. So that's how it stacks up. How will all this actually work? Let's look at, I'm just going to walk you through an example of how this actually works in the real world. So with witnessing, we're expanding our network. We are, when we bless people through our tribal messiahship, remember, we're asking our tribe members to not only receive the blessing, but to agree to these 4 vows, to understand that this comes from true parents. And even if they don't fully understand that yet, but they do agree with these 4 vows, and they do receive the holy wine, they receive the blessing. It's an incredible condition that they're making, okay? And as we do that, it has a spiritual effect also. It's substantial and spiritual both. But Mother said that the more we do that, it will affect and expand our ability to work with Christianity and the churches. And through this tribal messiahship activity, we are strengthening our spiritual life, and we are substantiating the work that heaven's asking us to do. And we will be able to widen the possibility of uniting with Christian churches. So as we fulfill our tribal messiahship, we will be able to reach out to more and more churches. And the more we fulfill our tribal messiahship, we'll be able to influence political leaders. And we continue to amass and expand our sphere of influence, blessing more people, having more and more people agree to these vows and this commitment, and we will be able to expand our impact in the environment through this combination of efforts. So how do we translate this strategy into goals? Some of you may have seen our offering table. This is what you see now at the bottom of the screen. And I just want to point out that the goals that we're defining, our roadmap of goals for America in 2019, is directly related to True Mother's specific strategy. So in the first category, in the first main column, you've got goals that relate to attendance. The next area is about goals relating to heavenly tribal messiahship and healthy families. The next area, you have goals relating to impact in the environment, in the witnessing environment. And then finally, the fourth area is goals relating to raising young leaders in human resources. So if we were to look at it, you've got, God and true parents. These are things like attendance and donations. And then in the area of witnessing, a lot of it is about our expansion of heavenly tribal messiahship, but also other areas as relate to the ministries that are supporting it. So healthy families, young ministries, and education. And on the other side, you have the witnessing environment. So we're looking at setting goals, how many families are visiting churches? How many churches are being visited? And, a big one is how many minister couples are we blessing such that they would be able to bless their congregation? How many national or state or city level influencers, political leaders, business leaders, and others are we blessing, and so on? And then how many young leaders are we raising? So it might look complicated at first glance, but I just wanted to let you know that the goals that we're setting as a nation all come from the 5 sub-regions, and every sub-region is broken down into district. Every district has multiple communities. And essentially, every community has an offering table like this with the same stack of specific goals. Of course, every community is just bringing a few goals in a few of these areas, but together, everything that we do as a nation adds up to our national offering to bring to True Mother by 2020. And we believe that fulfilling these conditions will bring about the magic and the miracles that's required to be able to satisfy heaven's need for our nation to fulfill its responsibility by this time period, by 2020. So what's the root of all this victory? What is the root? We really need, especially as leaders, we need to know what is the core condition such that all of this that we're planning will actually work. Well, True Mother gave us 2 clear directions for all leaders. She said, number one, liberate your ancestors up to 430. And number two, fulfill your tribal messiahship. Nobody's exempt from this. This is core direction from True Mother for all leaders. And to the degree that we do this, we will have both the spiritual and substantial power and impact to be able to not only encourage our members and our community, but also it's going to give us the strength and frankly, the authority to lead. Okay, so I understand that both ourselves and even some members amongst us may wonder, when you count the numbers of people that live in this country and you think of all of the problems, all the challenges, how can a few people really make a big impact? How is that possible? Well, I want to share some research with you. Here's an interesting study. What does it take for an idea to spread from one to many? For a minority opinion to become the majority belief? According to a new study by scientists at the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the answer is 10%. That's right, 10%. Once 10% of a population is committed to an idea, it's inevitable that it will eventually become the prevailing opinion of the entire group. The key is to remain committed. So 10%. We're really shooting to impact 10%. If you have 10% who are committed against 90% who are not committed or all going in different directions, it's just a matter of time before that 10% will influence the other 90%. So what about your city? How many people live in your city? What percentage of people in your town, your village, your city do you need to reach to be able to have that kind of impact? I'm going to take an example city from New Jersey. It's a city called Elizabeth in New Jersey with 130,000 population. So of course, 10% of 130 is 13,000. So now the question is, how many tribal messiahs, heavenly tribal messiahs, would it take to accomplish that, to influence that many people? It's 15. It would take 15 tribal messiahs to bless 430 couples. That's how many tribal messiahs you would need in Elizabeth to influence the whole city. Or 30 tribal messiahs who get halfway to 215 couples. Now consider this, actually in the city of Elizabeth, we have about 80 families. So what we're saying is if at least 30 of the families could get at least halfway with their tribal messiahship, getting couples to sign this pledge, commit to these vows, receive the holy wine, then that would be enough people to influence the people of that city, starting with the churches and the mayor, city council, board of education, etc. So imagine having this long list of names, all these people. Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, here's all the people in my Rolodex who believe in these values. And in fact, they're all going to come and attend our Parents' Day event next month. Would you like to come? It totally changes the relationship. You're actually talking about his constituents, so they will pay attention. So remember, it's a big country, but we're really shooting for 10%. Okay? In fact, 10% where? 10% in the areas where you can influence. Which are the sub-regions that can really break through first? Or which are the states within each sub-region that can really break through? This is how we can start really thinking strategically. So again, what is True Mother's direction for America? So this is the direction for leaders, liberate ancestors, do tribal messiahship. Obviously that is for everyone. But what is her direction for us? How are we going to bring about victory in America? Full 5 sub-regions fulfill heavenly tribal messiahship. Then you will be able to embrace Christianity and influence the leaders, and you will restore America. So, True Mother's direction for America is to fulfill heavenly tribal messiahship, embrace Christianity, restore the nation. Now we can We can second guess it. We can debate it. We can wonder. We can doubt. Or we could just do what Mother's asking us to do, which is 100% unite with her. She said this, unite with me and miracles will happen. John the Baptist will come to you. She mentioned this like a porch light at night when the bugs are attracted to that light. That's who we are. We are the light. And it's not even we have to go and find John the Baptist. John the Baptist will actually come to you. We just need to simply fulfill the conditions that heaven has established. So again, True Mother's direction for America is to fulfill heavenly tribal messiahship, embrace Christianity, and we will restore the nation. Why? Because America is destined to serve the world. We don't need to extend this work for decades, hundreds of years to come. There are countries around the world, people around the world right now, desperate for the help that America was born to give them. But if we remain stuck in our own ideas and own concepts, consuming the blessing only for ourselves, then we're hindering the blessing that God wants to give to those other nations. And if we do that, then we ourselves will lose the blessing. So there's really no value in not fulfilling our responsibility. We must fulfill our responsibility. And with excitement and joy, we should stand up, not receiving help from other nations like Japan and elsewhere, but giving it to other nations. This is really a central and core responsibility. And we have to start thinking about this now. And I think members and leaders around America will be more inspired if we can tap in to this root purpose and destiny of America, because if each of us as Americans share this responsibility. If we do that, without a doubt, we're going to make Mother smile. We're going to continue to make Mother happy. Mother is confident in America. She's confident in our team. She's happy about the work that our blessed families are doing. Wants us to take this year extremely seriously and fulfill our responsibility of heavenly tribe messiahship, from which everything else will be solved. Okay, so thank you for watching. This is just a quick overview, and now you can continue to study about all of the other aspects of our strategy for 2019. Thank you so much, and God bless you. We love you. Let's do this. We got this. God bless you guys. Ciao.